Starfleet Underground. Every week, we'll take a look at the latest Star Trek news and then check out a current or classic episode of Star Trek. This week, we get your ship's computer a subscription to Turner Classic Movies. Things go dark when we talk about nightmares. Tilly has some espressos and meets a new friend. And if you can't explain it, it might totally be aliens. Oh, don't forget to mute your Alexa, or else we might enable a black alert.
Okay, here's Star Trek Discovery. Black alert.
Alexa, stop!
Black
Stop!
alert.
Welcome, everyone, to Starfleet Underground. We're finally back in our ship. No more phasers hitting rocks and no more strange birds after me. He's still in the friggin' quarters somewhere. I haven't found him. But Heather has the eggs, so we're going to see what's going on with that.
I'm scrambling them right now.
But however, our smash and grab was successful. So we're going to go into introductions. We have here a special guest who wrote into the show and allowed himself to be caught. So thank you very much. Is Ryan. Introduce yourself, sir.
Hello, everybody. It's great to be here. My name is Ryan, and I want to thank all you guys for having me. It's a pleasure. And I am on loan from Section 31 right now, as I am an ex-Borg secret agent on a secret mission right now. So it's anyway, great to meet you guys, and I'm happy to be here.
Outstanding. We hope we didn't beam you out at an inopportune time. So
No, I am here. No, it's a perfect time. It's always a perfect time to talk about Star Trek.
outstanding. And then we have Heather.
Hey. So basically, you're the XB007. Is that right?
I am the XB007. I have a license to assimilate.
Ha! Yes.
That's
Good to
pretty
meet
cool.
everyone. I'm the science officer.
And always working his magic for us is Rocky.
Oh, hanging out, being an engineer, and I prefer to drink my sodas stirred, not shaken.
And my name, of course, is Captain Adams on the vessel. And we are here back in space. We've been off planet gathering supplies and everything for the last couple of shows. And we're here on Starfleet Underground where our shields are still full. So that's a good thing. This episode, we're going to be really bouncing around a little bit. We're going to be talking about the philosophical questions that Ryan had brought up to us. And also, we're going to be talking about Short Trek and the second episode of Discovery. So what did you guys think?
Woo! Always loved it. Always.
Yeah, I thought it was fabulous. I really, really liked it. I liked the whole season. I mean, season 2 of Discovery for me was just absolutely amazing. But yeah, episode 2 was great. Loved it.
And how about the Short Trek? What did you guys think of the Short Trek with Calypso?
Oh, yeah, that was great.
Yes.
That was awesome. I'm always for a romance with a hot sounding computer.
Totally.
Okay,
Yeah.
so can we talk about Calypso for a second? Because that was freaking cool.
We can talk about it for a lot of seconds.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So one of the things that I want to bring up is, okay, so for people who don't know, who haven't seen Calypso, it is awesome. Just a really, really short Cliff Notes version. Discovery crew ended up abandoning the ship Discovery. It's been like 1,000 years later. Nobody's been on the ship. And the ship has sort of evolved into an AI type person. And they find a new traveler to come in, and he, comes into Discovery, and he gets better, and he's on the ship for a long time. And we see a relationship develop between the two. So what I wanted to say was her name is Zora. Okay, so basically she's been staying there for 1,000 years, had nothing to do. So she went back and did all of our entertainment, binge watched all of our movies, played all of our video games. And when she was playing Link to the Past, okay, Zelda Link to the Past, there is a Zora queen with flippers and everything, a Zora character in there. And she got the name from Zora. And that's what I thought when she said Zora. I'm like, oh my God, you played Link to the Past. You knew that character. So that's what I wanted to say.
Wouldn't that be a surprise?
I was just going to jump in. This is the first out of all the Star Trek I was saying that I've ever watched. I never watched a Short Trek before. I had no idea why. For some reason I missed those. But this is the first one I ever watched. And I absolutely loved it. I thought it was fabulous. And again, my first thought watching it was that it kind of reminded me of, in a weird way, I Am Legend, with Will Smith, where he's like the last man on Earth. But because he was like the last man, on Discovery or for 1,000 years kind of sitting there. But I thought it was great. great. And I don't know if I'm jumping ahead here, but my first impression when I watched it was, are they setting up, was this a precursor or a foreshadow for season 3? I mean, is season 3 of Discovery going to pick up? Is Michael in the future? Are they 1,000 years in the future and the crew is gone? And this is what's been happening with Discovery, is it's kind of sitting there waiting?
When this episode came out, we did not get through season 2 yet, so we had no idea what was going on. This was very strange. At the end of season 2, we realized that's where the ship was headed to, or when the ship was headed to. So, yeah, it's looking like that's a connection.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And then also, too, they were also saying that when they come back in season 3, Michael is going to have a special friend, or, not a co-host, but you know what I mean, a friend. And that might be the friend is Kraft. What do you think, Nathan?
Well, first, also, I want to, for those of you that haven't watched the second season of Discovery, as you well know, I should have gave a warning at the beginning of the show. This is going to be full of spoilers for the entire season. So if you haven't saw it, poo-poo on you. You're going to have to really take your time and watch it. And we gave you a way to do it. 2 months free. Really easy to watch the second season. But yeah, what Heather is saying is correct. If you can look for the trailers for the third season of Discovery, you do see that Michael is running around with Kraft. So they're going to be coming into each other's path sooner or later, which is going to be really cool. All of the Trek's shorts, usually an indication of what's going to happen or what had happened before the show started. So Calypso, I thought was very cool, because you have a ship that was 937 years into the future, and we don't know what happened. And in the season finale, they jump to the future, which explains canon, because some people are upset about Discovery being in canon. But the big question is, where the hell's the crew?
Yeah.
Where's the crew?
Where did everybody go? And the third season is supposed to answer that. It's supposed to be Michael trying to get the crew back together, so to speak. But opens up a great thing, because what do you do with a ship now that's sentient?
Yeah.
You just let it park somewhere in a cloud.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you do with a sentient ship?
You give it video games to play. Maybe she'll come up with a name.
Yeah.
You give it the Turner Movie Channel is what you give it.
Right. Well, speaking about all that, basically when they're sitting there, Kraft and Zora, and they're playing, they had to go through quarantine like what we're going through quarantine.
Yep.
Playing chess, Taco Tuesday. Hey, let me show you my favorite old movie, and it's just fun to see the comparison between the two.
Yeah.
Now, the thing that I find that's going to be interesting is because even though Zora's away and she wanted to go with this guy, she still obeyed the last order she was given, which is to stay put and wait for us to come back. However, if you looked when Kraft was leaving on the shuttlecraft, she was replaying the scene that they were dancing together. And if you took a look, the holodeck version of her was shedding a tear.
Yeah, I noticed that too. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. This episode totally hits you right there in the feels completely.
Yeah, which means she has emotion.
Yeah.
Now, because you're here, Ryan, and what you said last time about Picard and Gollum Picard not being the same, what do you think about AI that develops emotion? Is it real emotion, or do you think it's programmed emotion?
I thought about that as I was watching this, because I did see.
I kind of knew you would.
Yeah. I'm definitely one for overanalysis, I guess. Sometimes I could be definitely accused of overanalyzing things, but I did notice the tear and all that. With AI and emotion, my thought always is that it's programmed emotion, because true emotion comes from, I'll try not to get too deep here, but our brain or our consciousness or whatever this consciousness that fills the universe, whatever you want to call it. But AI, or, like with Data or something like that, Data had his emotion chip and he could turn that on and off, which I always thought was pretty cool, like in First Contact when he turns it off. But AI to me is always, they can simulate emotion and they can program emotion to be simulated, because that's what AI has been programmed to do or has learned, but it's not true emotion. You see what I'm saying?
With the ship, it was left on its own. So nobody really programmed it to have emotion, because it's basically struck by binary. You do what we tell you to do. But over the years, it seemed to develop an intelligence. And that intelligence, then we go to the old law of how do you tell something is alive? It's like, if I think, therefore I am.
Yeah.
So if the computer can think and it could rationalize And it had decisions, like it decided, I'm going to give you the shuttlecraft anyway, because seeing you in this pain and this question about your wife and kid, I just can't deal with that. And to me, that's a little bit more than just cut and dry AI.
Yeah, I thought about that too at the end when I watched it, and the ship, she gave him the ship and he flew away, and all that did cross my mind. I always kind of did, when it gets to be that advanced, where the AI is, I don't say is human, or becomes human, or has those rational feelings in the sense of, oh, I feel bad for you, like I'm gonna send you back to your wife and kids and all that stuff. I don't know. I don't know if, I'm sure, I guess if human beings advanced, 100,000 years into the future or something, maybe at some point we'd have that technology. But I don't know, a couple hundred years into the future, here's the thing. The thing I love about Star Trek is that it's always kind of grounded in reality. Like, there's always this technology there, but it's always super advanced, but it's always still grounded in reality. Like even when Geordi would be spouting off something about, oh, Captain, I can do this, but the inertial dampeners are going to overload and we're going to have to contain the containment field, but I still think we can do it. And you're sitting there going, well, yeah, okay, Geordi, that sounds plausible. Yeah, let's do it. But it was always still grounded in a reality that there's still technology that's there. But once you get to that point where even with these super advanced technology becomes beyond that, like that's the thing I didn't like about the end of Picard, where it, I want to say, becomes magical, but it becomes a little bit beyond what to me is plausibly technologically possible. I was getting a little bit of an issue with that, because I don't think a computer, even a couple hundred years, even if it's 1,000 years, can evolve emotion in the same way. Does that make sense? I don't know if that makes sense.
Well, I hear what you're saying, because, my Commodore 64, if I've left it plugged in since 1983, it would still be a Commodore 64. I mean, it's not going to get that much more emotional. It might have a capacitor explode, but it's still, technology doesn't evolve beyond itself. So
your Commodore 64, it didn't have a bunch of spore particles just sitting there for thousands of years.
I'm sure there's some cat barf on it that would probably simulate spores.
Like the cat barf would rust something, the spores would change the ship as well. And I think the spores had something to do with the ship evolving.
I mean, is it even based off of something from Discovery at all? Maybe it's an external source that happened to get onto Discovery.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. That there could be a variable there that I'm not, I'm kind of doing more of the linear variable. But yeah, like the spores or something could have been introduced to definitely, change that. But the way I always view AI is like, you remember in iRobot where Will Smith gets saved by the robot and the little girl dies, and he's all kind of ticked off about it because he says the robot made a calculation that I was basically the better odds to save. I had a better chance of survival, so it pulled me out of the water. That's kind of how I view like artificial intelligence. It's always using calculations based on probabilities, and then we interpret like, oh, well, this robot had emotion and made the choice to save me and pull me out of the water. But in reality, it was just making all these calculations, a million of them, saying, well, the odds of survival for this person are much higher than that little girl, so I'm going to pull him out of the water.
Yeah, but unfortunately, as humans, we perform those calculations all the time ourselves when it comes to risk-reward analysis. From driving to cutting somebody off to deciding to end a relationship or go with another relationship, or it really, I think we're beginning to go down a rabbit hole. So we're going to try
because I talk about the car. Is the car going to crash into the people on the street or drive your ass off the cliff? I mean, that calculation,
Exactly.
And then also, too, I want to bring up, they already have AI. They already have software where it evolves, and as you type to it, as you talk with it, it learns, language, it learns how to talk with people, it learns empathy to the point where people are typing with it, like in a chat room, and they can't tell who's a person and who's a computer. And if we're already there now, today, imagine where AI would be in the future. Maybe they installed some software that started, at the very beginning of all this, and it's supposed to evolve, but there was no crew around and nothing was happening. So it's like, well, shit, I guess I'm going to go watch some movies and binge watch some TV shows and everything.
Interesting idea. I like that.
And it's funny that she watched old movies. Like, what was that, Fred Astaire? The computer liked watching the old, like you said, Rocky, the Turner movie classics.
Yeah, well, I like that he was stuck on that escape pod and he was forced to watch Betty Boop over and over again. It kind of reminded me of That's the Next Generation episode where they're in the hotel casino, and the character was forced to live out the rest of his life in this casino life, and he actually hated it, but it was based off a book that he had with him at the time. The aliens had no idea and just programmed it all to do it just that way and tortured the poor guy to his death.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And it was funny because I was thinking, if she watched movies, wasn't there maybe another movie made within that 1,000 years or something that we might not known of? But anyway,
I guess John Wayne movies didn't appeal as much. I don't know.
Yeah.
For as a director or somebody out there, I guess it's best to go with people always being nostalgia for the past and trying to come up with something new or a new phrase. Occasionally they do that, but you're right. Most of the times they go to something like Star Trek in the first movie. They're playing Beastie Boys.
Yeah,
there's been no other rap groups or music since the Beastie Boys.
Yeah, it's been interesting.
There hasn't been one other rap song in like 300 years. It was just the Beastie Boys. Yeah.
or they go to the disco version of Staying Alive from the newer remix of that. I was just like, what? That's the version they go with? Okay.
Yeah, totally.
Beastie Boys, they really wanted to party.
They fight for their right.
They fight for the right to party.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Apparently, Actually, real quick question, you guys. I might have overlooked this. Now, the name of the short is Calypso. Why is it named Calypso? Was that the name of the movie that Fred Astaire was in?
Oh, that's a good question.
That's a very good question. I have no idea.
Because I was trying to figure out why the name was Calypso. Was it dancing or was it music? And then it just hit me last night after I was like, wait a minute, was that the name of that movie that Fred Astaire was in?
No idea.
Anyway, I don't know.
Oh, that's actually a really, really good question on that.
I know. It was late last night. I was going to look it up, but I was like, I'll ask them tomorrow. And I know it's kind of random, huh? But yeah. So anyway, but side note too, the voice, Zora's voice, somehow she knew how to make her voice pretty hot too when she evolved. And the actress I was looking up, the actress who played the Zora's voice was actually in The Mummy with Tom Cruise.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's her name is Annabelle Wallace, I think, or Annabelle Wallace, something like that. But she's you've seen her in a lot of stuff, I guarantee. Like if you saw her face, you'd be like, oh yeah, I know who she is.
Now, was that actually her face on the Holo?
No, the Holo dancer, I actually looked it up too. She was played by actress Shosh Striga, and no, she was different. It was a different actress who actually played the Holo dancer, but she was actually one of the vampires in the FX show What We Do in the Shadows.
Well, that's a good show.
Yeah, it's a great
that show. Makes me laugh. It's really
so
funny.
I know, it's so funny. So anyway, two side notes. Yeah, but it was a different actress who did the voice and who actually did the dancing.
So I have the answer to that if you guys want to know real quick.
Yeah.
The film's name is Funny Face. And when he leaves, you'll notice on the ship, it says Funny Face, and that's the real name she gave him. It was based off the name of the movie, Funny Face. It was 1957 with Audrey Hepburn and, Fred Astaire.
Now, the episode was called Calypso because Calypso goes back to Greek mythology, is the name of an immortal nymph that was cursed to live forever on an island, where every 1,000 years, a mortal she was fated to fall in love with would wash up on shore, stay with her for a time, and then leave her behind. And most famously, she fell in love with Odysseus and held him on an island for 7 years. So,
that makes sense.
That's why. Okay.
There we go. Captain Adams coming through. That makes it make solid. That's more obviously way more appropriate for the short. That's a great name for it.
Yeah. Right. Because he could have left. He could have gone home to his wife and kid, but she kept him there. And who knows how long she kept him there? 7 years. I mean.
Oh, yeah. We never actually know.
They had a lot of food. And talk about editing. The way they gave you a sense of passage of time is with all those triple, fourple, and quadruple exposures of the mess hall.
Yeah.
Of him, walking around in Mets halls and everything else.
And I love the way they got Taco Tuesday in there too.
Yes.
That was pretty cool.
I know.
Yep. And playing chess and all of that.
Yeah.
It was a well-crafted episode, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. It was done really well. The acting was solid, as well as the voice acting, to be able to portray emotion without any visual cues.
I rewatched this. So on my rewatch, I realized, he's dancing to nothing. You saw him rehearsing to nothing. But when he did the actual dance for the special effects, was he actually dancing with a woman or was he dancing by himself and they CG'd the projection in there? I was looking at that and I'm like, you know what? This is so good. I really can't tell. But I think he was dancing by himself. and they CG'd the woman in there separately. I could be wrong. I'd be curious to see how they did that.
Yeah, I thought of the same thing actually when I was watching that. Was the actress really there, and then somehow they added the special effects to make her seem like she was a hologram, so they could dance together?
I mean, was she dancing in a blue suit and they put her in I don't know. It looked really cool though. It was really neat.
Yeah, no, I thought of the exact same thing because I was thinking, yeah, if he had to dance by himself and they projected, that would have made it a lot harder. But yeah, I don't know. I think it was a real actress, I think. And then I bet you they somehow, like in a blue suit or something, and then that'd just be my guess. Yeah,
that'd be the way I think you would do it. But it's still, you're sitting there and you're watching it going, did he really? Or did they put it, was it a fact that they put somebody in there? But you're still caught up in the moment. It's just like so cool.
Yeah, totally. And I thought what was interesting too was that, when they were dancing and it got pretty intimate and I think he was in a kisser and all that, then all of a sudden I guess he realized he had a wife and kids. And, that was, even though he had been stranded with her for we don't know how long, that he still was loyal to his family and wanted to get back home, even though...
It shows you the amount of emotion that went through, because we talk a little bit earlier about the AI and how the AI was developing feelings per se, whether it be programmed or realized. And how we develop attachments or feelings to our objects. Like most people name their vehicles, or most people have that. And they talk, come on, girl, start up. Come on, turn over. And the fact that he was there, he had developed an affection for her because he wanted to give something back, which was the dance. And if he didn't have feelings, you wouldn't do that. I mean, would you develop a dance for your Commodore 64 because it booted up every day?
Sometimes when it loaded it correctly. If you've ever had a problem where the drive would stop reading the disk appropriately and it got a little flaky on you, yes, you would dance when that sucker worked.
I hate to admit this. I really hate to admit this. It's the first time I've ever said this in public. I used to blow my Nintendo to get it to work.
That happens.
Yeah.
Now that explains why Section 31 is always dropping by.
Yeah, I never had to blow my 64. That's for sure.
No, but the Nintendos, do you remember you'd have to blow in them to get them to work?
That's why I was laughing at my buddies. It's like, yeah, that's funny. I got a floppy disk.
Yes.
It took forever to load, but it would load every once in a while. But I remember my buddies that you had to blow on the cartridge once in a while.
Yeah. That's a good point you made though, Captain Adams, about, the attachment to objects. I as you were saying that, I was thinking about, cars and it's amazing. Is it because, wasn't there an episode of Next Generation where somebody got addicted to the holodeck? I'm trying to think of what it was.
Yeah. We talk about that guy all the time.
Barclay.
Wasn't that Barclay?
Yeah, Barclay.
Okay.
Yeah, it was Barclay. And then, like an episode of the Orville. Do you remember where Bortus goes and he has all those I don't know if you guys watch the Orville.
Well, you got to be careful on their holodeck because you can get computer viruses by watching the porn.
Yeah, the porn. You remember that? He goes and he gets addicted to the holographic porn. And but I was thinking about the one with Barclay and, and then like her dancing that, if I lived on a starship and you were in the holodeck, you could see how you could almost become addicted to or fall into the trap of that world, even though it's not real. Like your car's not real, but people will say, well, I love my car. I've had it for 40 or 50 years. You know what I mean? But it's not real. And Heather blows the Nintendo, so it's...
People are addicted to video games. You have people playing MMOs who are playing from the time they wake up to the time they go to bed, and they do it for years and years. That's addiction.
Yeah.
You also have Janeway. Janeway that fell in love on the holodeck with the holo person. Then Riker fell in love with Minuet.
Oh, yeah. Riker did, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And so did Geordi. Geordi fell in love with the scientist chick, remember?
Well, a simulation that was just slightly inaccurate. Yeah.
Well, that was kind of a little bit on the Oompa Loompa vibe right there, too. So, because she was real.
There is romance on the holodeck.
Which explains how come sometimes you can hear it go, clean up on holodeck 47.
Do you think like in the future, like if you're in the 24th century and you're, I'm sure they have holodecks, like not just on starships, but like everywhere, like in cities and stuff. Do you think they have like addiction counseling for holodeck addiction and stuff like that, or anything like that's an issue in the 24th century?
Probably, but now I know the reason why they soundproof the holodecks.
That's for sure.
That's
important.
True.
There's a whole new picture when somebody says there's a protein spill.
Oh.
Oh, man. Hey, another question real quick for you guys. You know, when at the very end, when Kraft obviously takes off on the ship, and I did see the funny face thing when I saw that, and I kind of was like, what does that mean?
That's the name of the movie they were watching.
No, I know. After Heather said that, it made sense. But when I saw it the night I was watching it, I thought, what does that mean? Does she think he has a funny face? And then I kind of thought of Naked Gun, where her nickname for Leslie Nielsen was Funny Face. But
also, yeah.
Yeah, but do you think when he takes off, you know, he takes off and hits warp, do you think he actually makes it home, or does that shoot him to where Michael's at?
Well, that's what we're going to have to see with how that's going. I'm excited for the third season to see how this is all going to go. And Jonathan Frakes has confirmed he'll be directing a couple of the episodes as well. So we know it's going to be a standout season. Heather had some really good insight on last podcast about what to expect. And so it's going to be pretty exciting.
Oh, yeah.
To talk about excitement, let's go on to the next episode. We saw season 2, episode 2 on that show, which really hit on everything from the Prime Directive and how to bend the rules. What did you guys think?
This episode was probably one of my favorites of the second season for sure, just because it felt like an original series Star Trek episode, just a little bit, because they go to an away planet and they've got the huge philosophical questions going on. And they're also saving their ass at the same time. So it's kind of a combination of where the next gen would save somebody's ass and the philosophical issues and problems they have in the original series. It kind of feels like those kind of morph together to make this episode happen. I really enjoyed the hell out of it.
Yeah, me too. And let's start from the beginning. 2 things real quick at the very beginning. One, Spock draws when he has fear, and he controls the fear by drawing. 1, does that mean that he has a DeviantArt account? And if so, I want to see it. And then 2, Spock had like a bunch of nightmares when he was a kid. Do you guys remember any nightmares that you've had? Do you want to share any nightmares?
Yeah, but I don't know. The nightmares I used to have could be for public consumption.
Those are those good kind of nightmares. Okay.
It was actually
bad,
pretty. Okay, I'll clean up the nightmare that I had as much as possible, even though we do have an explicit rating. When I was going through puberty, I was still a virgin back then. I used to dream that I would be with a girl, and when she took her clothes off, and we're getting ready to do something, her vagina would grow into teeth, detach, and turn into a gorilla and chase me through alleyways, screaming and yelling at me.
Holy damn. Well, there are some women out there that, they do that. I was on this one planet one time where the chicks on that planet, that's exactly what happened. I think you might have visited the same planet.
And that's why I don't fraternize going on away missions.
Yeah, that's good advice.
That's what stopped Kirk in the end.
Yeah. Oh man. That makes my nightmares pale. Jeez. I always had a nightmare that the vacuum would come alive and make noise. That was basically it. I just didn't like how noisy the friggin' vacuum was when I was a kid. And it would wake up and chase me around the house just trying to clean.
Oh, yeah. That's funny. Yeah, I'm trying to think I can't remember nightmares, if I had any nightmares, especially not ones with vagina monsters chasing me or anything like that. I'm trying to think. I don't think really I had any. I think I was kind of lucky in that way, maybe. I'm not sure.
I would have nightmares all the time. Like, it was so normal, I wouldn't be afraid of them. And there's this one nightmare that always stuck with me because it just really, really got to me. And I think about it every single time I eat bacon. So here's the nightmare. Please bear with me. Okay. So I'm at home and I see on the news that there is a attack on the city by werewolves. So werewolves came into the city and they're attacking people. And, the news is saying, hey, you got to, and by the way, this is 30-year-old dream. Hey, you got to stay inside, because of the werewolf attack. So I'm like, yeah, whatever. So I go to the mail and I go and I get my mail and it's a full moon and everything. And I'm walking back to my house and these werewolves attack me and they don't kill me. They just get me on the ground and then a van pulls up and the van takes me in, puts me in the van, like ties me up and then takes me away. And the werewolves go off to attack someone else. So I'm going in the van And I go to a meat processing plant, and I swear to God, this dream is 30 fucking years old. And I go to a meat processing plant where they inject me with something, and I turn into a pig. And they put me on the belt, the conveyor belt for the meat. And I'm going through this belt, and I'm looking at all the pigs around me, and they're all humans turned into pigs. And as we're going through the conveyor belt, like heads are being chopped off, limbs are being chopped off. Like, you know, you're turning like the pigs into bacon and everything. And then they chop my head off, and then I wake up because I died.
Oh my
so
God.
That's like one of the dreams that I had.
Heather, that's the scariest thing I've ever heard in my life.
That's pretty
Are
awful.
you serious?
Somebody took you to the meat plant way too early in your life.
No, like those are normal nightmares. Like I just got to the point where I'm not scared of my nightmares. It's like, oh, okay, that's cool. You know, whatever.
That's an amazing screenplay. I just wrote down the notes. That'd be a hell of a good movie.
That'd be good. Yeah. No, I had a nightmare where I was sitting watching TV with my dad, and the cat's on my lap and petting the cat, and we're eating dinner at the same time. And the thing we're watching on TV was one of these weird little medical sciencey type things, and it was really gross. And then I realized as I'm watching this and I'm eating my dinner, the cat became my dinner, and I'm eating it was disgusting. It was really scary, horrible torture.
Ew.
Yeah, it was really bad. It really fucked me up for a moment.
Were you eating the fur, or was there no fur?
There wasn't any fur at that point. It was just getting, it was really weird.
Was it alive, or did it just taste like
you were
chicken?
petting at the same time, and your right hand has got the fork, and you're eating, and it was weird.
God, maybe we should start another podcast just called Nightmares of Starfleet Underground.
Well, I bet a lot of Starfleet have nightmares with all the shit they go through.
Oh, can you imagine all the nightmares you'd get on a star? That's why they have counselors on the ships.
Yeah. So we could go through and we could be like, okay, these are all the Next Generation nightmares. These are all the Voyager nightmares. These are all the Deep Space Nine nightmares. Yeah. Deep Space Nine nightmares, like the worms coming at you to eat you from a black hole. I mean, come on.
Yeah, think about all the PTSD like everybody in Starfleet must have after all these missions they've gone on and everything like that. It's just like, actually, I think they showed a little bit of that not PTSD, but a little bit of, like people laying on their bed and being stressed out and crying, or like Tilly, going through her whole thing with the voices, not the voices in her head, but what was it, May, the girl? Yeah. But I mean, because I actually thought about that watching one of the episodes, because my mom asked me that once. She always goes, when do these people go to the bathroom? And when do they ever stress out about these horrible situations that they're always in? Or, you know what I mean?
Well, they did do that with Deep Space Nine. The episode It's Only a Paper Moon is when Nog, during the war, loses a leg, and he gets his leg put back, and he gets back onto the station, and he really can't deal with anything. And he winds up almost living in the holodeck.
Right. I remember that one.
Yeah, so that episode was really, really good for post-traumatic stress disorder, and what they had to try to do to get him out of there. He never wanted to leave. They tried to get him to leave, everything else, and Vic helps him understand that before he's healed and ready to leave. So they have talked about it, and I'm glad they did, because a lot of vets go through that problem.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And I think it's good because it grounds Star Trek in the realistic world. It makes it more real. You know what I mean? And people can relate to it.
Yeah, that's one of the things I loved about Deep Space Nine was how real it was. It would talk about subjects that you wouldn't hear from other series, like, religion and terrorism. And, there's not a good side and a bad side. Both sides are really screwed up, Yeah.
That's the one thing I always love about, the thing I love about Star Trek, and I've always loved about Star Trek, is it brings up those questions, like we're always talking about. It brings up, and it always does it in an intelligent manner. You know what I mean? Where other genres or franchises and everything like that, which, I love it. I'm a nerd of all sorts. But Star Trek to me was always the sophisticated, kind of intelligent questioning of these kind of moral questions and dilemma, like order, the violating the first order or whatever it is. You know what I mean? There's always this kind of sophisticated questions of what it means to be human and the future and all of that, where, other things which I love too, like Star Wars and Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, they're all different, but Star Trek to me was always grounded in a reality, but a futuristic reality done in a sophisticated, intelligent manner. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Well, Star Trek, in my opinion, it was more about the human element, and the sci-fi of it was just a background vehicle. It wasn't forefront. So it was more about personality, decisions, and things you make. So you were beginning to jump in there, Heather?
Yeah, I wanted to say you're absolutely right where it mixes, what we experience today with the futuristic sci-fi part of it. And one of the examples is at the very beginning of this show on Discovery show, New Eden, Michael can't get a signal until he's like, oh, shit, sorry, I left too many tabs open. Here, let me close some of them. Like, that's a good example.
Yeah, it's a good example. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, do you guys kind of feel that same way? Like, I mean, I've been to a lot of different Comic Cons and, I go to all of it. But whenever I go to like Star Trek or talk to Star Trek fans, there's a different, I don't want to toot our own horns here, but I don't want to say we're smarter, but an intelligence level, but a more sophisticated, like you said, Captain Adams, it's about the human condition or the human element, and then the sci-fi is the backdrop. You know what I mean? So people are, it seems to be...
The sci-fi enables you to talk about other things. I mean, you're talking about being in starships and in space and visiting new worlds, but we're able to use that to bring up topics. I think it's, I don't know if I get that watching the Marvel movies often. I have to think about that next time I watch one.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a good point, Rock. I think you're making my point. Exactly. Yeah. Because the Marvel movies are great.
So much fun.
But you don't go away scratching your head going, huh? Like, I remember there was an episode of Enterprise. Do you remember the one, I think it was where Trip, they have to clone him because something happens and they build a clone and he's going to live or die within like 2 weeks.
Yep.
He grows. And I remember watching that going, oh my God, and there was a lot of questions in that episode, them talking about, is this right? Is this right that we basically grow a person to just basically kind of harvest them and then they're going to die to save this other person? And I know that's kind of an issue, not an issue now that we're cloning people, but that would be a moral dilemma that a lot of people have talked about. If we could grow organs, if we could grow this, or if we could grow people in a lab to save humanity, is that moral? Is that ethical? Would we do that? And I mean, I've thought about that because I was watching that episode going, man, what would I do? Like if I was Captain Archer in that way, would I say, yeah, grow them and let's save my buddy over here, or would I not? And that would be, and then even, I think cloned Trip finally comes to a point, he realizes he's a clone. He realizes he's going to die in like 4 days or something.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's big crazy stuff they're watching there. And then I go and watch a Marvel movie and all I think about is, could I get a clone of Scarlett Johansson?
Exactly. Which I would, prefer to have a clone of her any day of the week.
Right?
I think it's called a sex doll. They have Scarlett Johansson sex dolls.
Call her doll, call her babe, call her honey, whatever. I mean, it'd be great.
Black Widow sex doll?
Oh, well, without the clothes, yeah.
Yeah.
Clothes are optional.
Yeah.
No.
So anyway, I hope I'm not going off too much there on a tangent, but I don't know. That's one thing I always love about it.
But we kind of knew that this episode was going to be kind of like that. So that's not a problem.
Yeah.
Now, you were talking about how with Tilly having all those multiple windows and everything that were open, and they used her information built on it, and they were able to triangulate the signal to get to this planet that somehow had gotten there before they figured out how 200 years in the past. One of the things which I thought was pretty interesting is that they found a way to bring all the religions in Earth together and still kind of made it, too religious-y at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Because
it was kind of interesting. It was a great idea. I was like, what if you had a planet that just kind of, the people came there from our current times and ended up on this planet. What would they do for religion? Oh, the sensible thing is, why don't we just combine all the religions into one? That sounds like a great idea. That's a fascinating idea. It's a wonderful thing to explore. I love that.
But you notice what we're going through right now is that we have a whole section of society who looks at science as being a non-thing.
Well, that's true too. I mean, they look at science and that's, it's kind of its own funky religion. Yeah.
And they were scientists, but they looked at them as kooks.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, it's funny. Look, they came from the star. Shut up. No, they didn't.
I love that Burnham's shows up to this place. Oh yeah, your religion's great. Let's try to rationalize something here for a moment.
Yeah, totally.
Let's actually try to explain what really happened. And it's like, no, hold on. You can't just do that at somebody's religion.
That brings up a really good point. What they said, where technology could be seen as magic or as God, and they didn't want to be seen as God to these people who weren't, were pre-warp. And that was
Great
a really
point.
good, philosophical.
Yeah. What if God needs a starship is always what I go back to.
Yeah, what is God? Yeah,
Man from the heavens, right?
No, that's fine. Wasn't that Final Frontier? What does God need with the starship?
The starship. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of the greatest lines.
But the comparison to, there's God, and what if extraterrestrials show up? What if, they're obviously God. Wouldn't you think they're God? It was just like,
Everyone always says God is the man in the heavens. Why wouldn't that be a starship? Why wouldn't that be, aliens?
Well, it's
Oh my
ancient
God,
the ancient alien theory.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean,
We can't prove it, but it was definitely aliens.
I'm not saying it was aliens, but it was aliens.
it was alien.
I'm not saying,
I'm not saying it was aliens, but it was aliens.
He is so funny.
We can go into a deep episode of that because, oh my God. So I'm not going to even, we'll have to talk about this offline a little bit before we get really deep in religion. Or we'll have the Marlboro Baptist Church out there looking for us in space.
I have because it's funny. I have 2 pages of notes on this because I thought of the exact same thing as you guys were talking about Arthur C. Clarke's third law that Pike mentions.
Yeah.
Any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic, and then how they turned that into any sufficiently advanced alien life is indistinguishable from God.
Yeah.
I thought that was fabulous.
Yeah, that's a great concept too. I was watching on my Next Generation rewatch, and there was the one where, oh God, who was beamed down by accident to a planet, and they suddenly thought they were a god.
Oh.
That was Kirk.
Was it Next Generation?
No, this is a Next Gen episode.
It was
It's happened several times, hasn't it?
Yeah, because it was Deep Space Nine too, and I think maybe Voyager.
Yeah, it's a great idea. I was like, oops, sorry, we just left somebody on the planet. Oh, they're a god. We need to pray to the god.
Yeah. They did that on Orville too.
Yeah.
Is when she beamed down and the planet was going through phases, and every time they went down 500 years or 1,000 years passed, and they turned her into a religion.
Yeah.
Yes. Why have I made the Picard angry? Was one of the ones that I just remember. Why is that? Because the ground is shaking and the heavens are thundering, and the Picard is angry. Well, we must sacrifice somebody for this. This is the solution. Let's sacrifice this guy over here. Oh, no, don't do that.
I love how the Orville really played up on Star Trek and Star Trek themes and made it into their own. It was really good to see. And with all of this alien talk, and if there were aliens out there would be different religions, just like there's different religions here on Earth. So my curiosity is, I wonder which planet and which alien species are the Jehovah Witnesses out there that go to house to house to house trying to convert people, but they go to planet to planet to planet trying to convert.
Come to our religion. Welcome new planet beings.
Have you heard of? No.
You actually stumbled on the very birth of the Borg because they were
Jehovah's
to simulate.
There you go.
That's so funny. They're probably from Planet Crazies, where they're from, the Jehovah's Witnesses. But it's funny that you guys say that. Because probably no surprise, in college, one of my majors was religious studies. So I think that's why a lot of this philosophical stuff I really find fascinating. Because when I was watching this too, it seemed like that, Michael and the lieutenant, I forget how you pronounce her name, Osweekin, or I don't know, the other one who was with Mike.
Yeah.
But they were kind of snarky and, obviously cynical toward religion. But it seemed like Pike was kind of, not really, was he he seemed more open to the idea, definitely. And I was trying to think, was he religious, or was he just playing up the I'm Mr. Starfleet, I'm polished, I'm open-minded, or was he really kind of religious? I don't know.
One thing I've always liked about Trek is that they never really hopped on that. They allow people that have deeply held beliefs and convictions, but they never threw it in other people's faces.
Mm-hmm.
So he probably had a really solid religious foundation or background, but he wasn't throwing it in everyone. And it's the same thing when you look at Deep Space Nine. Nobody laughed at the Bajorans worshiping a hole in space, and there's different ways. So I think that he was, because he knew all the right things to say.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
He knew all the proper phrases, like, what was the one?
Yeah, peace be with you.
Peace
and
be
also
with you, and also with you. That's a response that most people don't know unless they've been inside of a Catholic church.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking. I was like, I wonder if he was Catholic or raised Catholic, or if if Catholic Church is even around in the 24th century.
Yeah,
and then I was thinking,
I told somebody, may the force be with you. And they said, and also with you. And it blew my mind. I was like, what? Whoa.
Oh, that's funny. One other thing I noticed too was, I thought was interesting, the mother quote of Terra Elysium, the main woman of the colony, when they find out that, they're from the future, that Pike and they're all there from a starship, and they kind of prove it to her, and Jacob's obviously really happy about it, and because he's been waiting for the signs for, his whole family has for a couple hundred years. Even then, she rejects it. She still believes in her faith and believes in the religion. Did you notice that? I thought
she
that
saw
was
it
interesting.
go up, and with the glow, she automatically jumped and said, that's an angel.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to go even further back to not going into the Bible, though, but going into society where people have records, they could talk about where this guy flew. Well, if you're doing a cave drawing of somebody flying, how would you allow someone look at the drawing to say that they were flying? Well, let's add wings.
Mm-hmm. This is what happens now on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Is even with science right in somebody's face, a super hardcore, let's just say, religious person like this woman, the mother of Terra Elysium, they would still say, well, no, that's heresy, or no, it's God's will, no, that's against God's will. Whatever the reality of the science is no, that's no. I still believe in the good book here, or whatever. You know what I mean? That happens now, and I thought that was absolutely fascinating because I've thought about it too. If aliens landed on the White House lawn and said, "Hey, everybody, we're here, and we planted you guys here 20,000 years ago, and we're just watching to see how you guys are growing, or whatever," you'd still have the people who I think the hardcore religious people of all denominations who would still say, no, that's not real. I think
it's
they
a
would
Hollywood special effect.
Yeah, they'd still deny it, even like she
False
did here on
flag.
Terra Elysium. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a side note. Mr. Overanalysis.
But it was interesting to see that they found a way, just like in the episode The Brightest Star, they found a way to circumvent the General Order 1, which was, non-interference in a pre-warp civilization.
Mm-hmm.
He took that one person in the basement and basically said, all the stuff you thought was right, it's right. All the things that's going on and everything else, I'm going to tell you for your peace of mind, because I know you can't go and tell anyone else because they'll think you're crazy. But allow you to think it's right. We're going to give you this power source. And in a way, it was kind of funny because the light was turned on with him to see that his family was all correct. And then you had the light with the church, which is going to bring everybody back. Because remember, they said when the power failed, they lost pilgrimage. Oh my God, Heather, correct my words.
Oh, you want me to? Dude, I am like the queen of butchering.
You'll come up with the wrong word.
I will so butcher the word.
Pilgrimage. They lost pilgrimage when the lights died. They had people used to come to their church when the lights was on. Now the light is back.
Is it just me, or was the light on like super friggin' bright when they turned that sucker back on? It was like 10,000 watt light bulbs in that sucker. That church was lit.
I was waiting for
halogen bulbs.
Yeah, it was like gonna explode.
Captain, I got a question.
Yeah.
Does spoilers for people out there? We know at the very end of this, all of the people that they meet on the 7 points has to do something with the very end, and they help in some way. I can't remember what that power source was or how those people helped. Were they even in the last episode? Were they there helping?
Oh yeah, because each step was like when at the end when they realized that she had led him on a path all the way kind of
right, and every
like
person that they met on the way helped and had something to do with their success, but I can't remember how these people fit into that.
That's actually a good question. I think it had something to do with the particles that were around the moon that they moved off.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking when they had the asteroid that.
Yeah, when they had the asteroid, I think it had something to do with removing that radiation or something from
the donut
planet.
maneuver.
Yeah,
the donut maneuver was cool. That was cool.
That actually was pretty cool.
Yeah.
A little bit of a segue for cool, because you triggered my memory because I did have coffee this morning. But those of you that have the Amazon Alexa in your house, if you want a really cool Easter egg, and if you renamed your Alexa to answer the computer, either way this will work. Just say the command, Alexa, black alert.
Ooh, I'm going to try that one.
Really?
Alexa, black alert.
Do you jump into a different dimension when you say that or anything?
She doesn't know that one. I'm going to have to figure out that. I have to program
Just say it again, Alexa, black alert.
Alexa, black alert.
I'm not sure.
No, she's
What?
not sure.
Yeah,
She
she doesn't know.
Okay, I think I have to enable a skill to make that work. I've had her fire phasers, though.
No, I did it with my friend's house and it worked. Well, tell her to enable black alert then, maybe.
Alexa, enable black alert.
Okay, here's Star Trek Discovery. Black Alert.
Black alert. Black alert.
There you go.
It plays the sound effect. That's good. Okay, Alexa,
Black
stop.
alert.
That's very cool.
That's funny.
That is pretty cool.
You know, one of the coolest things that ever happened to me at a Star Trek convention is we met very briefly, just passing through the hallway, the woman that does the voice for Black Alert.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
And the thing she did, and I'm sure she did this to about 700 guys while there, but she just leaned up close to your ear and she just said, Black Alert. And it was exactly right in your ear, like your ear was the microphone. And it was so friggin' cool. I had a really big nerd geek out moment for that right there.
I'm glad that didn't happen because the guy who did the Borg voice, who does We Are the Borg, and he had his table at the Star Trek convention.
Oh, cool.
And he did the same thing. He leaned forward and did the Borg voice, and I giggled like a schoolgirl. I swear. Now, mind you, picture, I'm a large man. So everyone's great amusement to see me go.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
get it.
when somebody does that and it's literally right in your ear, it's like a real close connection. Because when you're hearing it through a microphone in terms of speakers and mixed into a show, it sounds a certain way. When they do it literally into your friggin' eardrums, I mean, it was really, really surreal, like super cool.
That's pretty intimate. Like,
very.
Oh, yeah.
That's why people should go to the Star Trek convention.
Yeah. Thumbs up.
Oh, yeah. So I went to my first one last year. Like I said, it was my first one, and it was absolutely fabulous. I mean, I had that kind of geek out moment 2 times randomly when I met. I was amazed by how easily you can meet all the actors.
Oh,
and
yeah.
they're all just there.
They're just standing there at their table saying hi to everyone.
Yeah, like I was just sitting around BSing with them half the time. Like, just we were talking about life and everything, and I was telling them how much I think they just like to BS. And then one of the actresses I met, I met the guy who played Gorn. Fought Kirk in the famous Gorn thing. That was kind of random, and. We were like actually like kind of like standing in line to go to the bathroom. I was like, so, hey, how's it going? And he's like, oh, by the way, I played Gorn in Star Trek. I'm like, what? But then I met the lady, we were talking, and I was looking at her table, and I looked down and I saw a picture, and and I said, wait a minute. I said, you look like the woman who played in National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. And she goes, yeah, that was me. And I go, wait a minute, you played the boss's wife in Christmas Vacation at the end? Do you remember that scene where Uncle Eddie goes and kidnaps the boss and brings him back, and then the wife comes in the big fur coat and says, oh, he was an ugly, beastly man. He wore a blue leisure suit and all that. It was the same actress, and she had played a bunch of time in Star Trek. I didn't even know that. She was in Next Generation a bunch of times.
Oh, yeah. You'll find out that actors in Star Trek have been everywhere because they are skilled actors that work in everything. Actors. Yeah. Yeah. It's great.
Yeah.
I find that meeting them gives you a different dimension when you see them on TV. It just kind of adds when you see the actor and you meet the person, and then you look and says, oh my God, there's so-and-so, you know, so you know how they are out of character.
Yeah. I felt too like, going to Comic Cons and all these other things, WonderCons, it's cool, but Star Trek, the convention had a vibe of more of oneness, like in the sense of I don't know how to explain it. Like it seemed like everybody was, like family. Yeah, it's a good way to put it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The other ones are big and they're fun and everybody nerds out. And we all dress up and do all that stuff. But Star Trek always seemed more like a family, and everybody just kind of was, got it. You know what I mean? It was a blast. I can't wait for the next one.
Yeah, we don't know if it's going to be canceled this year or not, so we're still waiting with bated breath. Creation's trying to find ways to still get money.
The Facebook groups are like, they're so like, oh, it's gonna suck, we're gonna have to do this next. I'm like, guys, wait, it's in August, you gotta wait till August for it to happen. It's like, it might happen, and then people are like, no, I don't even want to have anything to do with that because I'll be hiding in the mask. It's so dangerous. I don't want the actors to get killed and stuff. It's just like, guys, calm down. It's only a thing. but I have a positive attitude about it. God damn it.
There are events in September and October that are already being canceled.
Yeah, people are canceling everything. I mean, so I don't know what's going to happen. Nobody knows, but I'd like to keep the best positivity toward it at least.
Yeah, they pushed out Michelle's convention. I was going to go to that, but that's understandable because she's well within the danger zone of this virus thing. And it's kind of hard to have her to be the guest of honor, and then she's behind a plexiglass bubble like the Pope.
Right.
So,
Well, aren't a lot of these actors around that age?
yeah.
Where they're
Well, the
vulnerable?
fans are too. I mean, Star Trek is generations
Yeah.
of fans. So
Yeah.
Yeah, like Bo Trimble.
yeah.
Yeah.
You're right. We gotta be careful on that.
Yeah,
Yeah, it'd be
I
rad.
guess we'll just wait and see what happens because
Yep.
the Rio might not even be open.
Yeah.
The governor is doing this in phases, and casinos are the last phase. So if August comes around and we're not in the last phase, the Rio might not even be open.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to put out a questionnaire, or actually a poll, and depending upon how many people to respond to the poll, I will go ahead and see if we can actually get a room to do a podcast from and have live audience participation of
That'd be
people
awesome.
there. So,
so
like
awesome.
a panel, we can have a panel for Starfleet Underground.
Oh, that'd be
And
great.
we can record the show live from there, but it depends on how much interest we have and everything else. But I'm certain between Heather and myself, we can make that happen.
Hell, I'll definitely help out if you whatever you guys need. I mean, that sounds awesome. Can you imagine all the awesome guests you would have, like the actors and stuff who could stop by for little bits and things like that? It'd be so fun.
I just feel sorry for Rocky because he has to edit all that stuff before it goes out on
Sorry,
there.
Rocky. I just piled like all this work on your plate without even
and you want
asking
to
you.
put me in front of people?
Yeah, we're sorry about that. Hey, it's your penance. You're good at what you do.
That's it.
Well,
You were-
we know
you were
right off
blessed.
the bat that Section 1 with 30 would be there just because of Heather. So
Yeah,
I'll be
Heather will make it happen.
disguised. Nah, I'm gonna wear a.
There's going to be in a Gorn outfit.
Yep, exactly.
Like a Gorn outfit with like a bikini on or something, like the female Gorn. They have female Gorns,
They
right?
do, yeah.
Yeah, they do.
yep,
They,
I know one that walks around.
Don't
lots
go
of
hugging
female
the Gorn unannounced. That's very
No.
important.
That's so
You
funny.
don't want to do that. So, what did you guys also think of Tilly's quote unquote? Well, at this time, we think it's an imaginary person or a real person of her friend.
May.
Yep.
Yeah.
I just loved that she's sitting there in sick bay going crazy on bed rest.
I
And
had
she said,
some espressos.
I had some espressos. She is like going 700 miles an hour, and she's wrangling things out through her head, figuring things out, and she's just and chatting with the being that's not actually there. And she's just completely oblivious to it because that's how fast her mind is working. I just love that.
Yeah, I love Tilly. She is the best. And she knows my mantra. It's always better to ask for forgiveness than for permission.
Mhm.
It's true. That is in life. It's you always
Always
after you get
blown
it
away
done.
at that phrase because
Yep.
somebody told me that, and I'm like, really?
Oh, I wonder if she has Starbucks. Do you think they still have Starbucks in the 24th century?
No.
Like that's where her espressos
That's
are
in
from?
Battlestar. No.
Dude, that's so old school. I mean, come on. 3 espresso shots. I mean, she's doing at least 20 espresso shots right there.
Well, they probably have. Can I get a double Janeway with her
Exactly.
lemon liquor?
Yep.
I'd have mine set to stun.
Where's May's accent from? What was her
India.
accent? Was it India?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I looked up the actress. Her name is Bahia Watson, I think. I was like trying to think about who her accent was from. I thought she was great.
Because even when she did the yearbook, you could see it was a Indian girl
Yeah.
with the accent. But then at the Earth in the future, who knows? It might be just from not necessarily from India, but she could be in an Indian population center, kind of the way they have everywhere else.
So, spoiler, what happened with her? Like, did she come back? I don't remember. I mean, I watched the whole season, but I don't remember what happened with her.
She
Spoilers.
winds up revealing that she's a creature that lives in a spore,
Yeah.
and every time they're using the spore drive, it was basically destroying their
world.
their
Yeah.
world, and they wanted to try to get them to stop it. So that's why she kept looking for Stannis
Yeah.
Okay.
to try to get them to stop doing it.
Yeah.
And spoiler alert,
Yeah.
that's how comes back.
Yeah. They were destroying the world without even knowing they were destroying the world. And that was
Yep.
the only way that they knew how to basically say, hey, you guys are destroying our world. So she was a creature that came back.
Well, it took her long enough to say that.
I know. I thought about that too. Why did she
Learning
just say,
English isn't as easy as you might think.
why Why didn't she just like when she woke up out of the coma, like say, hey, by the way, you're destroying our world right away instead of, just like appearing or something like that. Just say, hey, But I thought that was a real interesting side trek, no pun intended. That I wasn't expecting that at all when I watched it the first time. Going, oh wow, the spore drive and all that has these unintended consequences. Like that was real kind of an interesting thing to me.
No, they did that once with also Next Gen, where they found out going faster than warp 9 everywhere was ripping up the fabric of space.
Yeah, they were literally tearing up that section of space because they were warping through it all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, and I like that when there is, again, it grounds it in a sense of realism to me, that there isn't this just, like you can't go, hey, we're going to invent a new warp drive to go warp 20. You know what I mean? And just keep going faster and faster and faster. There's like constraints, there's physics and there's constraints and there's other worlds and dimensions that we still don't know what we're doing could harm them or what the reality is. In Star Trek, you're still always learning more. Well, what happens? How can you go faster than warp 9? Is there going to be a way that won't rip up the fabric of space-time or whatever?
Right. And when doing research and development, you always have to keep in mind that every action has the equal and opposite reaction. So what you're doing, what does that cause? What is the reaction?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. It's like everything in life has a natural equilibrium built into it. There's you eat too many sweets, you don't exercise, you get heavy. You drink too much, it's fun, but then you get a hangover and it's not good for you. You know what I mean? There's always
you jump onto a phaser that's going off and you end up with your ribs feeling like they're being played on a xylophone in a marching band.
Exactly.
Speaking of which, by the way, don't let your kid play with guns or stun guns or phasers.
Yeah.
Don't let your kid play with phasers because
you would think they had the safety turned on and that would be locked, but it's, sometimes when they take your phaser when you're unconscious, you just don't know.
I thought about that too. Why didn't he have like don't you think they have like a palm print or something that allows you to... Yeah, or safety, like, hey, here's a little 5-year-old or whatever is just like playing with the phaser.
Yeah, oops, shoots Pike.
Oops, sorry.
Yeah, but you notice that woman didn't say anything about that technology. She didn't put 2 and 2 together about what did he take that blew up like that. She was just like, oh, look, they were angels. See, they answered our prayer. Well, what about the thing? Well, we don't talk about that. I just want to see about the sparkly, glowy thing that disappeared.
Yeah.
She wanted a positive feedback loop.
Yeah. And I guess at the end of the episode, obviously, the very, very end, when they, I guess they repair the camera, right? They kind of just plug it into that thing and then you see the soldier and you see the angel come. But they never really explain like, well, we actually fixed the camera or how broken was it? I guess we just kind of assumed that the super advanced technology, they could fix it, right?
I mean, if your GoPro dies, the battery's gone and you don't have any more AA's to put into it or whatever, and they don't run off AA's, how are you going to make that sucker work? Well, Starfleet can figure it out.
Yeah.
And we know how annoying it is to have a corrupt file or, plug in a USB and not be able to get the stuff off of it. So years and years and years, like in the future, of course, they're going to fix that. They're going to have a device that you plug it into and it can get anything off of anything, no matter how corrupt it is. That's the future right there.
Yeah. Or like in Picard, where you just have that imaginary fix-it tool. You just imagine it, and then you go, oh, is it fixed? Yeah, there it is.
There you go.
Yeah.
Your warp drive is working now.
Yeah.
Power source works.
You gave me started on that tangent. That was the other thing. There's 2 things about Picard I didn't like was that and the synth golem, but the magical, just think about it and it makes it work.
By the way, Captain, I found one of those on the Universal eBay. So I was wondering if I could, could you like throw some money my way so we could buy it?
Of course.
I don't have any platinum.
Of course, no. I can still get some gold plus platinum laying around here.
I would be very cautious on Galactic eBay because you don't know what scandalers are out there.
Yeah, Quark might be running an online store.
Do a background check to see if it's a Ferengi.
Yeah, see if they've got a good rating on that. Yeah,
I'm running him through the system right now. His name is, you said Quark, right? Well, that's the same name as this guy.
As long as it's not from any of Ferengi, we should be okay.
He's a Ferengi.
Yeah, so no.
Okay.
we won't be able to get it right.
Well, I guess we'll keep our eyes open for that.
If there's any self-healing stem bolts, though, self-healing stem bolts. It would
make your job easier there, Rocky, if we can get you one of those little devices.
It would be very handy.
Are there any Ferengi Borg?
I haven't seen them. Maybe they're not worth to assimilate.
Yeah. I was trying to think if I've ever seen one, because that would be like a really bad person to deal with. Money, and they have no emotion. But, and hey, real quick, Jonathan Frakes directed New Eden, right?
Yes, he did.
Mhm.
Why don't they just have him direct every episode?
Yeah, I know, right?
He's only human, man. He's only human. He's so good, though. I love the stuff he's doing, and it's always so good when you see his name up there and you're like, I know this is going to be a good episode. I'm going to like it. He hasn't done one that I've not liked. I liked all of them. I mean, he's so dang good at that stuff.
Me too. I was thinking he's so
He
good.
has a gift.
Rocky, isn't it typical for when you are recording a movie or specifically a TV show, you have different directors do different episodes depending on what you want to accomplish and that director's skill?
Well, you definitely would aim to have the director, fit the director to the story. Or if the story's so big, fit that director because of their experience based on that. Yeah, so you would definitely tailor some things like that.
I know Game of Thrones really shouldn't be a comparison, but since they're all doing movie, style TV shows, in Game of Thrones, they would have like 3 directors or 4 directors, and they would be split among the season. So one director would do 2 episodes, one director would do 3 episodes, one director would do 1 episode. And then it depended on like what that director was good at. So one director was really, really good at the battle scene. So he directed the 2 major battle scene, episodes and that kind of stuff. So I was wondering if they did something like that here.
Very
Or if
possible.
that was just normal.
Very, very possible. I could see that. Certain directors handle certain episodes certain ways. Totally. Yeah. I mean, some directors may be more better at the closer, more intimate episodes than others. Maybe Jonathan Frakes helps with the appropriate amount of lens flares. I don't know.
Yeah. That's probably true, though. I mean, they probably do have they all have the different strengths, weaknesses. So if they know that episode is going to be focused on one or the other, they probably choose based on that. I guess.
I mean, Jonathan Frakes has had these huge movies under his belt, and these movies with lots of visual effects and lots of moving pieces.
Yeah.
So if you've got an episode that has a lot of moving pieces, he may be more suited to that. Or maybe he's got certain parts of the series that works better for him. I don't know the specifics, but I mean, sure, you've got different directors that handle things differently. I always enjoyed seeing the familiar Star Trek names under the director title too. We see if we get more of that for Discovery.
Yeah.
Well, he also is really good on when to inject humor into a storyline.
Yeah.
I love the scene where Tilly runs out the door, heads left, and then a second later heads right.
Right, yeah.
I forgot all about that. That was the funniest moment of Discovery as far as I'm concerned.
I love
so
that
good.
too.
Yeah,
The stuff like that slips in there is so funny.
Totally. As smart as she is, she had like so much caffeine, like she didn't know which way to run.
I've done that. You run one direction because you're so excited about solving a problem, and then you realize, oh, it's that way.
See, Tilly answers the nerd in all of us. If we're in space on a starship, we'd be so geeked out about everything we're doing. We would have a lot of Tilly moments. Just know.
Yeah.
Anytime the ship goes into warp, it'd be sitting there on the bridge going, this is so fucking cool.
So is that what I see when I see you in your captain's chair and you have your hands together and you got this like gleeful smile on your face?
Oh
is
my
that what that
God,
is,
you were
Captain?
looking at me? I didn't know you were actually looking at me. Oh my God. Jeez. Well, yeah, because it is really cool. I like the colors. So it is pretty awesome. Unfortunately, I just got notified by Section 31. They want you back for a bit. We're going to have to try to arrange to come and snatch you again.
Yeah, I'd love to come back.
So make sure, you know what? They won't be able to control if we get you again if you just put in for leave.
Yeah.
We can just snatch you for vacation time on something like that. And try to find out why they keep going to Heather's quarters. We need to know. Because I don't want them to take her like they did Fred. They took Fred for a special mission. I don't want Heather disappearing either.
Yeah, maybe Fred's building like a nuclear Borg cube right now or something like that.
I don't know. I don't wear the same pajamas that Fred wears.
Whoa.
I think he's making assassin tribbles.
Assassin tribbles. I like that. Now that's funny.
Yeah. Now that would be a good episode. Yeah, like this warring faction of tribbles.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
War of the tribbles.
Or nuclear tribbles.
Nibbles.
Yeah, nibbles. Yeah. I wonder if do you think the Borg could assimilate tribbles? Can the Borg
Star
assimilate?
Trek Online, they did.
They tried, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
on Star Trek Online, they haven't assimilated tribbles in the game.
Oh, that's
for
funny.
those of you that play the game.
What happens when you assimilate a tribble?
It just winds up making more tribbles a lot more efficiently.
Yeah.
And they kind
So
of
it's
purr in like
definitely-
unison, right?
It's a cyber tribble.
Cyber tribbles. Yeah. Is there any species the Borg can't assimilate? Have we ever learned that?
Yeah,
No.
and fluidic space species. What was it? 8947 or
8472? Is that what?
8472.
Yeah.
They couldn't do that. In
'Cause
fact,
they
they
were
had
always
to run
fighting.
from them.
Yeah.
Really?
They had to run from them because they couldn't
So-
assimilate them.
They couldn't assimilate Odo, for example.
Oh,
Oh.
that I don't know.
I don't
That's
know.
actually
That's a good
pretty
point, Heather.
interesting. Yeah.
Now I got to go back and
A shape-shifting
investigate this.
Borg would be an interesting idea.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
that'd be
Odo
a-
is the fluid.
Yeah.
I mean, he has to sleep in a bucket.
Yeah. Was Odo of the same race as the girl in Undiscovered Country? She was a shapeshifter too. Remember in Rora Pente?
No, she was different. That was just a shifter. She wasn't a founder because she never had liquid form. So she was just a shifter.
Oh, okay. So it's different.
Yeah, so it wasn't the same thing. Well,
Yeah,
unfortunately, we're going to have to start tying it up here on our show. However, that being said,
Mhm.
we have our homework for you. It's going to, of course, watch the third episode of second season of Discovery. And the short we're going to be talking about is the short trek Q&A. Is when Spock first gets onto the Enterprise, which is another really good one. You get a chance to get a backstory more on Spock and also on number one. And you get a chance to see Spock act kind of geeky.
He nerded out.
Yeah.
You lock a Vulcan up long enough in an elevator, and oh man, he goes geek.
Seriously.
Was it me or was Spock pretty badass in season 2? Like he was kind of with the beard and everything. Was he kind of a jerk? I don't know. He wasn't
Well,
typical Spock.
Well, he kind of was until his personality gets settled down. And we're definitely going to
Yeah,
bring
the
that up
youthful
because
Spock. Yeah.
he had issues. I mean, talk about Vulcan grudges. Nobody knew he had a sister and nobody knew he had a brother, a half brother until like all the way to how many years later that they found
Yeah.
out Cybok was running around.
They had
So
Oh,
we-
yeah. Yeah, wasn't it-
Vulcans don't say anything.
He wasn't a jerk per se. He was an emo.
There
was an
you
emo.
go.
Yeah.
Emo
Spock
Vulcan.
was an emo.
He was like Narek, the Romulan Narek in Picard.
Narek was worse.
Oh, screw that guy.
Yeah.
Diesel.
God.
Yeah, she did. That's what happened.
Yeah,
So-
Oh my
technically.
goodness.
Yeah, that's true.
And that sister better not be alive. She made it be like somebody's gonna have to get her body up with a spatula. She got on my nose as well.
Spatula.
That was not cool. Well, thank you, Ryan, for coming by and for coming on the ship. This was very enjoyable, and we're definitely going to have to bring you back to continue these conversations because, yeah, we do a lot of that in the break room
I
with
love it.
Heather and Rocky. And Heather, oh my God, don't let her get started on some subjects, man. She'll talk circles around you, and you be cross-eyed wondering what. Try to. She makes sense, and she's got really good arguments. Now, as a guest, do you have any podcasts or YouTube channels you want to plug there, Ryan?
Can I plug my fun sci-fi website that I do? My blog or whatever?
Go for it.
Yeah, I have a website called area51life.com. So you go there. It's everything from sci-fi to UFOs to aliens to the paranormal to pop culture to anything you can think of. We just launched it a couple of weeks ago, and it's basically everything that we kind of discussed today. And then we do a lot of T-shirt designs. They're all my designs that I have fun with. Some of them are actually Star Trek related, but there's a blog there, and I travel to like Area 51 and go out there and take pictures and then write a blog on it. And it's a fun site, so check it out. Area 51 Life. I think you guys would like it.
And then one day I'm gonna have to send a subspace to you, and you and I are gonna have to talk because I got stuff that would make your toes curl.
Oh, I'd love it.
To definitely work. How about you, Heather? You got anything on your communication pad there you want to talk about?
I'm looking forward to when Delta Flyers is going to start. That's supposed to be starting here pretty soon, and I'm really looking forward to rewatching Voyager with Harry Kim in Paris.
Oh, that's going to be fun.
That is. I'm really looking forward to
That's
that.
going to be fun.
Yeah.
How about you, Rocky?
Yeah, they are on my radar. I've got tickets to the flyer. I'm ready. I'm ready to hit subscribe any second now. I also enjoyed earlier this week, Jonathan Frakes did a watch along to First Contact. And
how was
it's
that?
out there. It was so cool. And I actually learned the reason they say 2 takes Frakes. It was pretty cool. I highly recommend it. It was very enjoyable.
Good. I saw the preview, or I saw the preview of the advertisement for that. I was going to watch it, and then I forgot.
It's still out there.
Like, oh my God, that's my favorite
unless they've
movie.
attacked YouTube, it's still on there in several places too.
It's definitely worth watching.
I'm going to
right?
have to
For
look
sure.
at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I did something that was totally unTrek related. I watched the table read of Chuck versus the Beard they had on there with the truck, which was another show I used to love watching.
That's a good show.
It was very good. And they did a table read with all the original people and everything. So that was a cool little thing to see him do
that's
that.
neat.
Yeah.
So that was awesome.
Do you guys have any news on the upcoming movies? Anything? Have you guys heard of anything or
Not
on
yet.
the new Star Trek movie? Mm-mm.
Not yet.
Movies,
Everything's
no.
going towards this season.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Discovery 3, season 3 is supposed to air sometime in 2020, but they haven't given us an exact date, and we haven't heard anything about Picard for season 2.
Yeah, I've been I read a little thing on comicbook.com where they were composer Jeff Russo and writer producer Noah Hawley was talking about I guess he's might be doing the next Star Trek movie, and they said it was in, they were writing it right now, and they were talking about possible music ideas and stuff like that. I don't know, I read a little blurb on that, so I was wondering if you heard anything else on it.
The only thing else out there, if you want to go ahead and search your social media, depending upon what planet you're on, I'm sure there's you can find out. There is the season 3 trailer for Discovery has dropped. So you can go ahead and look for that on whatever
I think
place
they
you want to
dropped
look
it
for
again. I think it was the same trailer from Comic-Con last time around, from New York Comic-Con.
Yeah.
Chicken.
So
Yeah,
it's basically.
But
so
they re-dropped it, and I was like, hey, this is showing up on Twitter, and I looked at it and like, this is the same trailer.
no, for those of you that haven't seen
Not
it,
to say it wasn't good, and if you haven't seen it, oh yeah, it's really good. Highly recommend it. But I was just like, this is new. No, it's not new. It's new to you. If it's new to you, it's new. So it's all good.
you get a chance to see Michael with short hair, and then you see Michael with a whole long braided hair. So they're jumping around in the 3rd season a lot. So it's going to be interesting. Now,
Can't wait.
this show was brought to you by Section 31. They keep us funded, but we really don't understand why or how.
We're not that expensive, actually.
Well, this is true. They keep Fred and Tribbles.
Yeah.
We're on the black budget of Section 31.
Yeah, it's like not even a decimal point for their budget. We're just like,
Yeah.
No.
problem.
Heather.
What?
Heather.
What?
Question.
What?
Does your Glommer now kind of look like Jabba the Hutt?
Dude, it's getting there.
It's so fat from all the tribbles running around. The thing just sits there now. And the only way it goes after a tribble, if it happens to pass within arm's reach. It won't even move anymore.
it's just sitting there
Well,
going,
it used to, but
oh.
but then Fred got that one tribble that had teeth, and he attacked him, and so now he doesn't go near the tribbles anymore.
Dang it. Because the other one, I was in the hall and they said, oh, look at Glommer. And they looked up at me, on to my dude, that dude, let's So we got to get him back so we can fix the Glommers. Well, thank everybody for being on this ship. This was definitely a very deep and fun episode. Please join us again next week. Check us out on all the social media. There'll be tags on this. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, SoundCloud, and iTunes. Just look for Starfleet Underground. So please be safe. Don't forget to wash your hands for at least 20 seconds, social distancing until you can get out of this. And just don't have a great week. Make it so.
Starfleet Underground, beaming into a podcast feed near you. Log on to our website at starfleetunderground.com and send your comments and questions to thecollective@starfleetunderground.com. Follow us on Twitter at StarfleetUnderG and on Facebook and Instagram, we're Starfleet Underground.